Frid och shalom älskade vänner och välkommen till en ny dag. Idag är det den 14/10 och lördag. Vi hämtar våra nyheter direkt ifrån Israel och presenterar dem här och på Telegram då. Här är då ett nyhetssvep vad som har hänt och vi tittade igår och det var våldsamma bombardemang och i slutet av den här videon nu när jag har pratat då så kommer det en video som förklarar vad som har skett i detalj. Fantastiskt, men ta och börja med lite nyheter bland annat från Amir Tsarfati som vet precis vad det här handlar om. Och då kommer nyheterna nu. USAs utrikesminister anlände till Saudiarabien och det är ju tänkvärt bland annat med Abraham Accords och utvecklingen där. Amir, jag kan inte säga speciellt mycket just nu, men vi har inte bara israeliska specialstyrkor på gång utan detta håller på att bli en internationell händelse. Stora styrkor från Egypten och terrororganisationer från Egypten drar upp mot Israels gräns. Det speedar på alltså. Vi ska bli en spännande dag idag och se vad som händer. Amir Tsarfati säger att han vet inte egentligen vad som händer i norra Israel. Allt är bara väldigt konstigt. Vi upplever någon form av cyberattack och vi får inte veta så mycket mer. Men det är en annan aktivitet. En del talar om rymdvarelser och grejer. Ja, det är mycket konstiga rykten just nu. Ryssland har lagt fram en resolution för FNs säkerhetsråd som uppmanar till ett omedelbart eldupphör på Gazaremsan. Förenta staterna kommer sannolikt att använda sin vetorätt om resolutionen går till omröstning. Ryssland trycker på för att även få andra nationer med på banan att kräva eldupphör. Hamas uttrycker på deras officiella webbsida ett stort tack till Vladimir Putin och Ryssland för allt stöd. Ja, om nazister tackar Putin, tänk då igen på hans egna engagemang för att utrota, som han säger, nazister i Ukraina. Här har vi hyckleri på högsta nivå. Den ryska tidningen Die Welt publicerar namnen öppet på de 1300 israeliska offren från Hamas attacker den 7 oktober på sin första sida. Och sen kan vi meddela då att just nu har ungefär 400 000 dragit ner från norra Gaza efter Israels uppmaning till FN att flytta bort folk. Då kan vi alltså förvänta oss en stor markoffensiv när som helst. Här kommer en detaljerad video om läget just nu, vad som har hänt och vad som händer och vad vi kan förvänta oss. Här kommer videon.
Conducted a major aerial operation. This airstrike was the biggest blow to the Hamas organization. As the population in the north of Gaza started moving southward, Israeli warplanes directly targeted the positions held by Hamas groups. In fact, Israeli intelligence managed to locate a significant portion of the tunnels known as the Gaza Metro. With this information, the warplanes began targeting the areas where the tunnels were located with armor-piercing munitions. Subsequently, simultaneously, both the outposts and command centers where Hamas was positioned were targeted. The residences of high-ranking Hamas officials were also hit in the conducted airstrikes. Using advanced intelligence satellites, the Israeli military also pinpointed the exact locations of numerous munitions depots from which Hamas forces continuously resupplied. In light of this, many munitions depots were destroyed, primarily in the northern parts of Gaza. However, a major attack on munitions depots in the southern areas did not take place, possibly due to the majority of the local population residing there. As the countdown to the deadline set by the Netanyahu administration for Hamas forces began, F-16 fighter jets disabled their communication facilities. The Israeli Air Force, which conducted a complete blackout operation against the organization in the region, gave the green light. Following the departure of the Air Force from the region, the ground forces in Ashkelon mobilized and successfully entered Gaza from the north. In fact, as a result of the airstrikes carried out by the Air Force, more than 750 targets belonging to Hamas forces were hit. After suffering a significant blow, the Hamas organization was directly targeted by the Israeli ground forces as they initiated their operation. The primary objective of the Israeli forces conducting regional raids was to locate missing individuals. Therefore, through sudden and silent raids, Israeli soldiers were able to gather important intelligence. Based on the information collected, the organization's infrastructure and gathering areas were also destroyed. Israeli intelligence pinpointed the exact location of a critical point for the organization. This building, which had been turned into a stronghold by Hamas, continuously launched short-range missiles into Israeli territory, and it was targeted by drones. Subsequently, as the drones couldn't inflict sufficient damage on the stronghold, fighter jets targeted the area with armor-piercing munitions. The attack led to a massive explosion as a result of the destruction of the short-range missile ammunition stored at the bottom of the stronghold. It became evident that a significant portion of the ammunition stored by Hamas forces for their attacks was destroyed in this assault. Not only that, but the Israeli Air Force, through this attack, also incapacitated 3 Hamas operatives who were specialized in missile launches. It is believed that these 3 individuals were among those responsible for the production of the short-range missiles for the organization. Although this information may not be fully confirmed, the Israeli Air Force dealt a severe blow to the Hamas organization through its attacks. In the north of Israel, Hezbollah terrorist groups continue to launch constant attacks. The situation is particularly critical in the town of Metula, the northernmost part of Israel. Israeli authorities have declared the town a closed military zone, indicating that in the event of a potential attack, Hezbollah groups could target this critical town. Israeli tanks have started heavy bombardments against Hezbollah groups, which consistently launch drone attacks from the southeast of Lebanon. In the depths of the Lebanon border, Israeli drones continue to target the organization's assembly areas and headquarters. The Patriot air defense systems guarding the Golan Heights have rendered more than 20 aircraft launched from the Lebanese borders ineffective. Sneak attempts in the Golan Heights are ongoing, with groups supporting Hamas making continuous efforts to infiltrate Israeli territory in the Golan Heights. However, Israeli artillery units continue to subject the organization members attempting infiltration to heavy bombardments. Due to the constant attacks by the groups in the region on Israeli territory, the Israeli army is also increasing the number of its forces in the north with each passing minute. Meanwhile, according to recent reports, the Egyptian army has officially taken action. With the population in Gaza moving southward, the Egyptian army has started moving full force towards the Rafah region. Egypt has made the decision to send a significant number of armored vehicles and troops to maintain its border security. But they are facing a major challenge. This is because, as mentioned in a previous video, an organization known as the Egyptian Bedouins has set out towards Gaza to support Hamas groups. Currently, the Israeli army is conducting reconnaissance with drones along the Egyptian borders to neutralize the group that intends to support the Hamas organization. Due to the presence of several groups in Egypt that support Hamas, Israeli authorities have advised the residents of towns near the Kerem border crossing to stay in shelters. As a result, the Israeli army has assumed a defensive position near the Kerem border crossing in preparation for any potential situation. Furthermore, before President Netanyahu initiated the ground operation in the north of Gaza, Israeli intelligence continues to work on blacking out the region. The Israeli government has started restricting all internet access in Gaza, making sure not to leave any means of communication for Hamas forces. With the organization left without communication, it's certain that they will not be able to mount an effective defense if their command and control structure is completely disrupted. Therefore, while the Israeli government continues to limit internet access, brigades in the southeast of Gaza have been mobilized. The Yamam Special Unit, located to the south of the city of Sderot, has started moving eastward. The 401st Iron Tracks Brigade has arrived in the southern part of the city. This means that a total of 10 units in the region have successfully advanced to the southeast of Gaza. On the 4th highway in the southeast of Zikkim town, there are numerous tanks and armored combat vehicles. As I mentioned at the beginning of our video, these units in the region conducted a major operation in the north of Gaza and then the Israeli soldiers withdrew to the safe zone. Throughout the day, the Israeli Air Force distributed brochures to inform the population in the northern areas of Gaza to evacuate. The reason for this information is the Israeli army's initiation of a major ground operation. It has been confirmed that during the evacuation of the local population, Hamas forces tried to prevent migration within Gaza. The members of the organization causing difficulties for the population were targeted by Israel's precision-guided missiles launched from unmanned aerial vehicles. This indicates that the Israeli army is waiting for the evacuation to be completed in the region. In fact, the Netanyahu administration announced the suspension of air attacks on the organizations to allow for the completion of the large-scale migration in the area. This careful approach by the Netanyahu administration for the complete evacuation of the north of Gaza suggests that they may also initiate a more intense cleanup operation against the remaining Hamas groups in the region. We'll see what happens.
Land and air. Hundreds of armored vehicles are heading into the attack. Additionally, Israel operations are ongoing in the border areas today. Hezbollah, along with Hamas, has stirred up the West Bank. Information is coming in from all over the country. If you are ready, let's quickly review today's news on the map with real images. The first news of the day is from the West Bank. After Hamas gave the order for the attack, the West Bank on the right side of Israel became chaotic. Hamas supporters began launching attacks all over the region. Particularly, large-scale clashes erupted in the upper regions. At the moment, Israeli soldiers are trying to gain control of the region. For now, there aren't major issues, but Hamas is attempting to regroup in the area. For example, today, there was a conflict for the first time at one of the region's largest gates. Just like in Gaza, the West Bank is surrounded by walls. Therefore, to enter the city, you need to pass through gates where many Israeli soldiers are located. The first attacks today were carried out at the gate, located next to Tulkarm. Hamas supporters attempted to create a large hole in the wall next to the gate to enter Israeli territory. They placed explosives and detonated a portion of it. However, the explosion was so powerful that it led to Israeli soldiers immediately running to the blown-up section of the wall. The terrorists were neutralized just as they were about to pass through the fully opened hole. Israel has likely already sealed this breach. Following the attack on the wall, the terrorists then attempted to quickly pass through the main gate with vehicles. They tried to distract attention by inciting clashes near the gate. However, the full control by Israeli soldiers thwarted this plan. Both the militants causing the vehicle and the clash were eliminated. Next, we're going to Gaza for our second report. The long-anticipated moment has arrived, and Israeli troops have launched a comprehensive attack. As we said yesterday, Sderot City was evacuated and turned into a fortress. This city is now a command center for Israel. We mentioned that hundreds of armored vehicles and Israeli soldiers had come to this city. Today, the preparations are complete, and the all-out attack has begun. After the removal of the walls near the city, Israeli tanks entered Gaza from 2 points. It is claimed that there are nearly 100 armored vehicles. New soldiers and tanks will likely be added to these soon. They will probably push down the Gaza Strip from the top, forcing Hamas to flee towards Egypt. Now, Israel's first objective is to clean the Beit Hanun area and turn it into a control point. They need an area within the Gaza Strip where they can regroup. Beit Hanun is in a prime location since it is separate from the main city of Gaza and controls the roads. If Israel captures this area, its advancement will be much easier. Advancing within major cities is very challenging because you don't know from where they will open fire on you. Different tactics need to be applied. Let's see what tactics Israel will use to advance. Next, our third report is from the center of Gaza. After Israel initiated its ground operation, Hamas intensified its attacks. They fired hundreds of rockets at Ashkelon and Ashdod cities. They launched attacks one after another by removing missile launchers from between buildings. Again, the Iron Dome system managed to stop most of these missiles, but not all. As we mentioned, even for an air defense system to stop hundreds of missiles is already very challenging, and Israel's defense has been attempting to stop thousands of missiles for days. This is causing an excessive load on the air defense systems or depleting their missile resources. For now, only the main cities and military bases are continuing to be protected. Following the missile attack, Israel once again identified their main source. All of these attacks are originating primarily from the Jabalia area. This region is both close to Israeli cities and strategically located in the middle, so Hamas is using it as a military base. They come out, fire missiles, and then hide in homes again. Therefore, one of Israel's main objectives today was the area around Jabalia. Camps in the center and buildings from which Hamas fires missiles were destroyed by Israeli aircraft. Additionally, since it's close to where the ground operation began, clearing Jabalia is essential. There might be ambushes against tanks from this area. Israel has made its plans and is progressing step by step towards its goal. Next, our fourth report is from the middle of the Gaza front. Hamas is attempting to breach the walls in the middle of the strip to attack Israeli cities. Today, their target was Be'eri village. They first crossed the walls from the forest just above Be'eri. They advanced through dense wooded areas and reached the outskirts of the village. They probably even communicated with the village via radio and instructed them to launch missiles from inside Gaza. Because the missiles were precisely aimed at the points where Israeli soldiers were in the village. Fortunately, nothing happened to the soldiers, but it's highly unlikely that it was due to luck. Israeli soldiers are aware of this, so they launched a wide operation near the village. Right now, terrorists who crossed the border and reported the positions of Israeli soldiers to the center are being searched everywhere. Our fifth report is from the Egypt border and the Khan Yunis area. For the past 2 days, Israel has been targeting Hamas centers in Khan Yunis. Hamas has taken control of administrative buildings here and is storing heavy weapons inside these buildings. Over the past 2 days, the former municipal building and a local bank were struck. Today, another Hamas building in the center was destroyed by aircraft. Although the ground operation started far from here, Israel does not want Hamas to carry out shipments to other areas from here. This is because the ammunition brought in through the tunnels at the Egypt border is first stored in Khan Yunis. It is then distributed to the upper regions of the city to support Hamas's ammunition network. Israel's continued destruction of Hamas's main buildings here is essential for cutting off their logistics. Additionally, Egypt has started bringing a large number of tanks and armored vehicles to the border. An Egyptian official mentioned that an unprecedented measure has been taken at the border. We're talking about hundreds, maybe even thousands, of armored vehicles. It's a mystery how Hamas managed to bypass such extensive precautions. Let's see what steps Egypt will take against the new Israeli ground offensive that has just begun in the coming days. Next, our sixth report is from the Lebanese border. Hezbollah, after suffering heavy blows for the past 2 days, attempted to attack again today. They tried to breach the wall from the part of the border where the village of Hanita is located. This area is once again characterized by dense forests and elevations. Therefore, this time, Israeli soldiers didn't want to get too close to the border and chose to respond with artillery systems. The areas behind the border were subjected to heavy artillery fire. It's highly unlikely for terrorists to cross the border and escape from these attacks. So, we can say that the border has been successfully defended today. Finally, today, a warning was issued from Iran to Israel. They stated that Israel should stop its operations, or they would get involved in the war in different ways. However, we already know that Iran supports terrorist organizations like Hezbollah. In fact, the Iranian foreign minister will be coming to Lebanon soon to provide support and conduct some inspections on the border. During this time, it's possible that they'll provide further support to the Hezbollah organization. They could revitalize regional organizations with new missiles and drones to carry out new attacks. However, even before that, Israeli airstrikes have destroyed a significant number of Hezbollah's heavy weapons. It will be very challenging for them to recover from this. Let's see what we will witness on this border and throughout the country in the coming days.